Peter May, A Winter Grave, published by River Run, and this is a climate thriller that is set in the near future, so in 2051, and it goes from Glasgow up to Kinlochleven, so around Lochleven, and the Scottish Highlands. Now, Peter May is very concerned about what's happening with the climate, and he was, I think, quite depressed by the outcome of COP26. And I think he's gone on to use his capabilities as an author to really highlight what will happen if we ignore everything, as we pretty much are, in the here and now. In 30 years' time, it will be so different. So he describes ice storms, flooding, immigration. People are having to move across the world because their lands are flooded, and it just goes on and on and on. And what the social problems will be around that, less land, more people, and just living with a terrible climate. And he really paints a severe picture for us all to take note in this novel. So obviously it's set in 2051, but it goes back to 2023, and by the time this novel is published, of course, we will be in 2023, and some of the characters in the near future look back and say, why didn't you take any notice? Why didn't you do something? So that's where we're at with this novel. This is the same Peter May who wrote a novel in the early 2000s, and it was titled Lockdown. And it was rejected by all the publishers because they felt that what he depicted there, so, some terrible bug hits the world and the responses of the authorities and how it affects the populace, was deemed to be too incredible. It just felt too unreal. It was then published just around lockdown. And in fact, what you can read in that novel just resonated so totally with what was going on in everyday life when coronavirus struck. So he has a real mission to kind of bring home what we are doing to our planet and how we must take action on so many fronts. A Winter Grave is a thriller. We have Cameron Brodie, who is a detective. He is based in Glasgow, and we find out a little bit about his own personal backstory because we go from 2051 to 2023. How he has a family and how that all came about. Now in 2051, there is the discovery up in the vicinity of Kinlochleven of a body that is frozen. Now this, so a meteorologist goes about her work, and she looks up, there's a river that's gone underneath the ice, which makes a kind of tunnel, and it's quite a precarious tunnel, but anyway, she finds herself going down and looks up, and above her is a body entombed in the ice. And of course, it looks like somebody has fallen to their death or has been murdered, and the body is extricated and it's brought down to the loch and to a hotel. And because the weather is so inclement, it is stored in a cake cooler until the authorities, so the pathologist and Cameron Brodie, can attend and actually understand what has been going on. Brodie and the pathologist arrive, and they arrive at a hotel that the pathologist can only describe as feeling like The Shining. There is a sense that there is a presence of somebody else around. It just doesn't feel comfortable. And as the story progresses, there is another murder. And, it is a battle against the elements. The two of them have arrived in an eVTOL, which is a kind of helicopter that, doesn't really have a pilot. It, just follows its own nose. And that's what's so interesting. He's actually invented various devices like, deep fake imaging, which we've all come across in The Capture if you've watched that BBC TV programme. And he just extrapolates from what's going on now about where it might all end, just 30 years down the line. The weather, of course, is the biggest factor. It just almost overwhelms the characters, simply because I think that was his mission, to really put his characters in an inhospitable environment that really takes over lives, and I think he really succeeds. He really gets his message across. So I think if you are looking for a novel that really kind of hits home, then I think Peter May's A Winter Grave is certainly one to put on your list.